Good evening, everyone. How the devil are you? Hope you're feeling better than I am, because I'm feeling like death warmed up at the moment, I've got to tell you. I've had a bit of a sniffle all week, man flu, basically, but I think I'm coming out the other side of it. It just gets to this part of the day, and suddenly it feels like all the air's been let out. Anyway, I shan't bang on about it. I'm sure this will help. Cheers, everyone. Oh, dear me, that's better. Let's have a look and see who's in that chat. Who have we got in this evening? And kind of more importantly, as is customary around here, who was first in? Oh, I see. We've got Robster Boy first in. Then Robert Z. And then Goddo Canuck. And who else we got? We've got Sometimes Dim Never Thin. Craig Stamen. Evening, mate. Then Chip Young and Michael Palmer. Yes, because I set the stream up early this week. It was about, I think it was about 2:45 when I kind of came in here and just did the whole StreamYard thing. Then we've got Edwin Toonan, and who else we got? We got Johnny Random and Grandpa Joe. Greetings from New York City. Well, greetings to everyone from a rather frostbitten and bone-chilling Redcar. Then we've got PFY Guitars and Johnny H. And then scrolling down, let's see who else is in. There's Balder. It's Crackerjack. Yes, Friday, 5 o'clock. I remember it well. And Mark Kerno is there, as is Jeff C. And who else we got? Ian Clark, hello, mate. Then Daniel Stenning looks like a first-time attendee. Hi, peeps. Friend Rob sent me here. What exactly is this Guitar Masonic Guild? Well, no, basically, mate, it's nothing as formal as that. It's just a bunch of old farts who get together on a Friday at 5 o'clock and have a beer and... there's never any script. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about for the next hour, but usually there's a dialogue goes on between me and the chat. There is one thing I want to talk about, and I'll come to that in a moment. Then we've got Dave Lewis, and John Ross is in, and so's Terry Day. And then we got Jonathan Peden and Ken Varland. Is that Vorland or Varland? Yeah, it looks like an O. How are you, mate? And there's Deco Dude and Phil and David Evans. And who else we got? We got 60s Man and Reeled In 58. And Thomas Mulvaney, and who else we got? We've got John Channing and Paul Miller, and scrolling down I see there's the Time Prophet and Rexomatic. Greetings from Phoenix. Let's put you up on screen. Greetings from Phoenix. No new gear for a while. Need to spend some time with several guitars I acquired over the last couple of years. But that new Rain Song reissue is tempting for outdoor travel gigs. Yes, do it, mate. Pull the trigger. You know you want to. Then there's Mike Hurley and did I say Vincent Brennan already? If I didn't, I just did. And there's Colin Falcon and James Hunt. And who else we got? We got Rob B and William Forrest. And who else we got? We got Amadeus. And I've got not a friend, but more like a friend of a friend has a Labradoodle called Amadeus. Just every time I see that name, I always think of that, of Amadeus the Labradoodle. Anyway, I digress. Then there's Ron Wells and DJW and Steve Lamb. There's Dash Schaff and Dudley Squat and John Mack. Peter Nicholson is there, so's Jay Ao Young and Robert Galbraith. There's Pablo Hank as well. How are you, mate? Then scrolling down, we got Jimmy James and Cy Rollinson, and there's Saji. They're bringing up the rear. And who else? We got Ian Stewart and Daniel Stenning, old fart, eh? I'm in. We got Michael Purcell and Balder and Andy Nisbet and Ray James from Western Australia, no less. I should do a kind of a presentation, so maybe even a video on it, and just kind of plot where all the like you see on war movies, where they've got like the map with the kind of bits of string, and everything's all the bits of string are coming into the War Office in London, except it'd be it'd be into Redcar where the strings would all go. That might be fun to do. And I think that is about it. That's all we've got in for the moment. And looking at the figures that I've got on the screen, there's 118 of you come along to have a beer with me this rather chilly Friday evening. And I must say I'm quite gratified, because the missus has just come in. She's been out on the market all day. And she puts the TV on, and I notice there's a football game on, because apparently there's some big football tournament going on at the moment. I try and keep away from it myself. But I noticed basically that I'm up against the football. So thank you to 123 of you now. It's filling up. Thank you to each and every one of you who's chosen to watch a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute gibberish for an hour, rather than watching 22 millionaires ruining a lawn. Anyway, round about this time of the evening, I usually tell you what is coming up on the channel in the following week. I think you probably already know what's going on Sunday, because I think I let the cat out the bag in yesterday's video, where we were talking about the Yamato early 70s Les Paul copy. There have been developments on that score, but I don't want to give out too many spoilers. But you will see what that guitar sounds like with its nice new lowered action. You will see and hear what it sounds like in a mix on Sunday. That is Sunday's video. And then Monday is basically a solo that was requested. Solo analysis. You don't have to do solo analysis every Monday. A solo that was requested on the live stream here a few weeks back, actually. So if you can cast your mind back, you might already know what it is. But let's just say it's an absolutely fantastic and accessible. It's got that magic for me. It's kind of iconic, instantly recognizable, fantastically played, and accessible. A slide solo that fits all of those bills from 1974. I wonder what that could be. So that is Monday's solo analysis video. Put your guesses or your kind of deductions in the chat if you like, what that might be. A fantastic slide solo from 1974. Then on Tuesday, it's only just dawned on me that we're into December now, so I better start doing kind of December-y kind of things. So that's what Tuesday's video is all about. I'm going to be talking about the 5 best pieces of gear that I reviewed this year, and I've reviewed quite a bit of stuff, and it was a really properly difficult thing to narrow down to 5. I almost made it a top 10 list, but the thing is, it would have been a video that was going to be too long. So it's going to be the best of 2022 on Tuesday, the best gear I've reviewed. Then on Wednesday, a viewer's question. If you have any questions of a guitar or music-related nature that you think I'm the bloke to answer them, then, just drop me a line, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can use the contact form on my website, johnrobsonmusic.co.uk. On the lessons page there, you'll find the contact form. Just drop me a line and ask whatever question it is, and it might get featured in a video. As I always say, don't put anything in the chat here, because I'm not Rick Beart, or I'm not like one of these YouTubers that has a staff of people. This is just me, so I can't keep an eye on the chat and and talk at the same time. There's a fair chance I'll miss anything that ends up in the chat, as some people usually shout at me because I haven't answered them, but it's not because I'm trying to ignore you. It's because I'm just too busy blethering on, basically. So that is Wednesday's video. It's a viewer's question about triads, no less. What are they? How you use them in a solo and that sort of stuff. So that's what we're doing on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we're back to that Yamato early 70s Les Paul copy again, which I don't have to hand at the moment, so I can't show you it. But we're back to that guitar again. We're fitting a new intonatable bridge and seeing how well it will intonate with a new bridge. And that is, as I say, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's videos coming up on the channel this week. And you know what happens after Thursday, don't you? We're back to Friday. We're back on the beer again. Cheers. Oh yes, my voice box definitely needs some lubrication at the moment. Um, yes, the missus sticks a pony in her pocket and takes a suitcase from the van. Yes, uh, everybody in the UK understands that reference, but yeah, it's a sitcom that was on in the UK, Only Fools and Horses, about market traders. Time Prophet is saying, how about a lesson on singing and playing the guitar? Yeah, well, see, I'm reasonably good at one of those things and absolutely atrocious at the other. Every band, let me tell you this, every band pretty much I've ever been in over the years, you know, you're kind of in that stage where you're rehearsing and you're getting a set together. And, you know, it's... there'll always be somebody who says, can we have some backing vocals off you, John? Yes, no problem, I'll say it. And then the next week, there's never, ever a mic set up for me. So that tells you all you need to know about my, you know, my singing abilities. I'm only just about qualified to kind of teach guitar, just bluff my way through most of the time. But, you know, singing, it ain't my bag. And yeah, let's. There is one thing I do want to mention. Oh, thank you so much, Donald DeMille. Had to have my dog Murphy cross the Rainbow Bridge yesterday. He was almost 14. Remind me of you and your lovely tribute video you did. Please do a cheers for my boy Murphy. He was a fine lad. Yes, everybody raise your glasses to Donald and say cheers to Murphy. Yes. I'm sure that although he's no longer with you in body, he is there in spirit, and I'm sure you gave him a fantastic 14 years while he was with you, mate. So here's to Murphy. And thank you so much, Donald. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Yes, now what was I going to tell you about? I'm getting a lot of emails from people who have ordered T-shirts or a mug or, you know, something like that from the Teespring store. And orders are getting just basically taking too long. Now, from experience of that, this has been going on a while. The orders do get there, but I realise that this is a time-sensitive kind of time of the year, I guess. I have no ability to sway this, I'm afraid. You know, Teespring print the shirts on demand and send them out, and then the price you pay, I receive maybe around about 50% of that price, because I don't, you know, Teespring are doing all the kind of shipping and handling and buying the raw materials, the T-shirts and everything, so they take a fairly big cut of the sale price. And I've tried inquiring about, you know, on people's behalf to Teespring to say, you know, where's this order number, this, that, or the other, and all I ever get is the stock form, you know, kind of responsive. We strive to give great service to all of our, you know, partners and all that sort of stuff. So I really, and you chase it up and you just get the same reply. So I'm unable to kind of sway this. I have tried. There's nothing I can do, unfortunately. What I will say is, if you contact me privately using the email address that I've mentioned earlier, and you show me, you know, your receipt, if something just doesn't turn up and goes missing, I will endeavour to give you a refund. You know, because I don't like people being out of pocket, but I can't, you know, I can't kind of just pick up a phone to Teespring and say, where's Bert's order gone to, you know, because it just doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. Yeah, Time Prophet. There's a lot of Royal Mail strikes at the moment. There are. That is true. You know, our postal service is taking industrial action at the moment. I don't want to get into the whys and wherefores of that, because this politics is a divisive topic, isn't it? And there's enough of that on YouTube already. But, you know, that shouldn't affect, because Teespring are a US company, and, you know, this is happening with a lot of orders in the US as well, which obviously doesn't involve the UK Postal Service. Mississippi Blues, a guitar-related question. What picks do you prefer, John? These little jobbies here. The nylon Jim Dunlop Jazz 3, just nice and rigid, nice and small. I can do pretty much everything I need to do with these, whether it's strumming the acoustic or, kind of rattling around playing some lead up the dusty end of the neck. That is, all I've got, really. And I'm seeing David Evans is saying buffering. We've had this once or twice before. Again, file that under stuff that I can't do anything about, I'm afraid. I imagine that the internet and, kind of servers in server farms that are, kind of responsible for keeping the internet on its feet are probably struggling a little bit at the moment because, there is this big football tournament going on and there's a lot of people probably streaming it. So, I may be a casualty of that. All I can tell you is I have got a pretty robust connection at this end. Mike Early's saying no buffering for me. I can usually tell how it's going by looking at the numbers here. It's when it starts buffering really bad, it goes down to kind of 12 people watching or something. So, and sometimes Dim Neverthin is saying no buffering here. Well, it's nice to know I'm making it through mostly then. Talking guitars, tradition must be observed. Blondie, yes, let's get Blondie. Here we go. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? It's like, our bedroom is just along the landing there, and as a middle-aged man, I have to get up in the night once or twice, and when I do, I'll just kind of paddle along the landing in here and put the light on and just have a look, because it's gorgeous, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful guitar. And that is my Lucille, that guitar. The Lucille was the guitar that B.B. King ran back into the burning building for. Yeah, that would be the one that I would kind of run back in for, I'm pretty sure. Let's have a look and see what else has been going on in the chat, because I've neglected it a little bit. Okay, so the buffering seems to be sorted. And what else we got? Lots of cheers to Murphy there, bless him. And Cylon Hybrid is saying singing helps you understand music theory. Possibly. I'm not going to dispute that. All I can say is that understanding music theory doesn't help you singing. I'm testament to that. It doesn't work the other way around. And what else we got? There's Lawrence Hastings sneaking in. I missed you there, mate. And Stuart Young is saying, R.I.P. Jet Black, the Stranglers were part of the soundtrack of my late teens. Yes. Now, as luck would have it, I have just finished doing a vaguely Stranglers themed video. Think of just possibly the most iconic guitar solo in any Stranglers song. That is going to be coming up on the channel at some point in early next year. Now, McDowell YL is saying, cheers, John. Any experience with vintage affordable arch tops, K Harmony or other? Many out there, are they selling cheap because they're no good? Suggestions for a first-time buyer. The only arch tops I've ever played, there's one of my students has an old Hofner arch top that it's like old from the 60s, and it plays like a hot knife through butter. That's not the question you're asking. Modern kind of available arch tops that you can go out and buy now, the only kind of one that I've really played, and it's not affordable really, is the what's it called? The Godin Kingpin Fifth Avenue. I did a video on it where I was putting it up against a vintage Gibson from the 50s. Both guitars were very, very generously loaned to me by a mate of mine called Dave, who's like a mad guitar collector. That was a beautiful guitar. Oh, I'll tell you another one. Yeah, I don't know if they still make these, but the Epiphone Emperor. That was a lovely guitar. Joe Pass Epiphone Emperor that I played. Gosh, it's got to be 10 years ago now, and it was not a new guitar then. So that's about the limit of my experience with archtops, I'm afraid. It's a type of guitar that I don't own, so that might be something worth pulling the trigger on at some point. Robert Z or Z, I do apologise if I've got that the wrong way around. He's saying, what makes a guitar a baritone? It's tuned lower, mate. It's tuned lower. Basically, it's usually, I might be wrong here, but a baritone guitar is tuned, I think, is it a fourth lower? So basically, if you were to capo a baritone at the 5th fret, you'd have like standard tuning on a regular guitar. So that's what a baritone is, and it's didn't Dwayne Eddy do an album on a baritone guitar back in the 60s? It's got that low kind of deep kind of rumbly kind of thing, good for sort of surf tunes and stuff like that, and that kind of vibe. It's not something I'm particularly minded to own. It's just because, like, would I ever use it really? Michael Beliveau is saying, hey John, have you ever drilled holes in a Tele or any other guitar to make it string through? I'm thinking hard on this. Yes, I have. And it's often said that you need a drill press to do it, and that does help. But I did it without a drill press and didn't do a bad job of it. I had a Glary Telecaster copy, and what I did was, if I remember rightly, because it's about 18 months ago now when I did it, what I did was kind of measured, because it already had like one of those top load or string through bridges on it, but just the holes weren't there to do the string through thing on the body. So I marked the holes on the body, just a bit of marking pen or Sharpie, isn't it? That's what they call them, on the body through the holes in the bridge. So I knew that's where the holes needed to go. And then I put a piece of tracing paper on top of the body of the guitar, drew round the outline of the body, and then, because it was tracing paper, I could mark the holes on the tracing paper as well, where they lined up, where the marks were on the body. Flip the body over, so then use the tracing paper to basically put those marks on the back of the body as well, and go in halfway from each side. And as long as you've got a steady hand and you're doing it from directly above, you won't get exactly the same neat job that you would get with a drill press. It won't look like it came out of a professional factory or anything, but it'll get the job done, and the holes might be a little bit kind of out of line, a tiny bit if you look closely, but it's it works. So you don't necessarily need a drill press. And what I will say about doing that on a Telecaster style guitar, does it or doesn't it improve the tone? I think it does, but not directly, because it makes the guitar feel a lot stiffer and tighter, and especially on a Telecaster, I like that, because it makes you dig in and play a lot harder. And Telecasters especially, I think, respond well to that kind of treatment. You give it a bit of welly, basically, and it brings out more of the kind of hooligan nature of a Telecaster. So it's doable, and I did it a pretty good job of it on my first attempt. So there you go. It's worth having a go. Paul Miller is asking, let's put it up on screen, Paul, is asking, any views on string gauge? Yeah, I use 10s. I use 10 to 46 on anything and everything. Doesn't matter whether it's Fender scale length or Gibson scale length or the PRS kind of halfway between scale length. I use 10 to 46 strings. I'll show you the ones I use, actually. I've got them here. I'm not sponsored by this brand or anything like that. There's no financial or commercial relationship between me and Legacy Strings, but I swear by them. Since I've been using these, I've never broken a string. I think this is Strings Direct own in-house brand, and they're fantastic. And you get a spare E and B string in each set. And you know, I used to use 8s back in the 80s because that was quite the thing then, wasn't it? It was like a sort of arms race of like who could use the lightest gauge strings, you know. And I was snapping strings like straw. And then went to 9s, and yeah, that was pretty good, but it was still snapping strings quite a bit. And then I went to 10s, and very rarely, but sometimes it would snap a string. But since about, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I went from roto sounds to Legacy Strings, was it even that long ago? In the last few years, I'd say I went from roto sound yellows to Legacy Strings. You know, absolutely no problem. And these are $3.99 a set. They're really, I think, because I don't buy individual sets, I buy them in kind of bulk, but I think they work out about $3.99 a set. And they're fantastic. So that's my thought on strings. I see we've got Paul Trainer in. How are you, mate? I noticed it. Craig, 10 to 52. Yeah, but you do all that kind of chuggy drop tune stuff, though, don't you, Craig? You know, you're a bit of a metal lad. Craig very, very generously loaned me a fantastic piece of kit that I can't tell you too much about because I don't want to spoiler alert, but fantastic piece of kit that is coming up, which will be the final video of the year. Yes, I need to talk about that as well. That's something else I need to talk about. As you know, the tinsel-infested madness is about to descend upon us once again. You know, we haven't got our decorations up yet. They're going up at this weekend. That's my little pleasant little job for Sunday, it has to be said. Oh, joy. You know, yeah, the whole kind of thing with the channel and Christmas. I will be doing a full week of videos. Let's have a look at the diary because I can never remember whereabouts we are. I'm going to be doing a full week of videos next week. And then on the week commencing the 19th, I'll be doing usual videos on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But obviously, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's Christmas weekend, isn't it? There will be no live stream on that Friday. I'm doing a live stream on Christmas Day instead. And then that's your lot. That's me done. I'm taking a week off for Christmas and I'll be back on the 2nd of January. So I'm just giving you a fair warning, you know, so you know what's coming up on the channel. I just thought I'd mention it while it was, because if I don't mention these things when they pop into my head, then, you know, they're out the other side and I forget all about them. So let's, so we've got Joe McCarthy. How are you, mate? Nice to see you in. Joe is the very, very generous chap who bought me that lovely Telecaster on the back wall there. Thank you so much, Joe. That is a beautiful guitar, and I really, really enjoy playing it, and I'm blown away by your generosity. Ian Clark saying, let Dougal help with the decorations. Dougal will be in another room when the decorations are going up. This will be his first Christmas, and I'm just wondering what he's going to make of the tree. As long as he doesn't cock his leg on it, I'm pretty confident we'll be all right. John Mack is saying, just got a PRS SE Silver Sky for $599. They're on sale now if anyone's interested. Do you know what? I did almost think about getting one of those to do a review on. But having seen the Crimson Guitars sort of teardown of one, I'm not saying it was it put me off that guitar, but it did make me think, really, it just didn't look to me like it was something I wanted. Let's put it like that. Let's have a look. Oh, you're too kind, Edwin. And what else we got to talk about here? Favorite Christmas carol. Well, you know, every year I do a little bit of a Christmas offering, a little bit closer to the big day. Last year it was God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. In the past I've done various other Christmas tunes. Yeah, there's one coming up this year, and it pretty much is my favourite Christmas carol, as opposed to, like, you know, a Christmas themed song, you know, because I've done Christmas themed songs in the past. I did the what was it, the Wizard one. I wish it could be Christmas every day. But as in terms of a Christmas carol, my favourite one is my sort of Christmas tune that will be going out on the 18th this year. So. What do you do when you run out of ideas for videos? I'll let you know if it happens, mate. Because I seem to have settled into, because before the whole kind of pandemic thing and all of that, I used to do 2 videos a week. I used to do a Tuesday video, Tuesday or Wednesday, and a Friday video. And usually one was like a lesson kind of video and another was some sort of review. And then soon as, you know, lockdown and everything, I started going to like the sort of current sort of thing that I've got now, which is I've seemed to have settled into a routine where Mondays is a solo analysis. I never seem to run out of ideas for solos to do, because there's always another great solo that you can do. That you can. I'll have Spotify and I'll think, you know, and a song will come on and I'll think, yeah, let's do that one. So that's no, you know, I'm always going to kind of have ideas for that for the Monday video. Top 5 Tuesdays. Well, I'm a bloke. I like making lists. It's something that you know, that my missus comments on all the time. She says you love doing these kind of list sort of things, don't you? Well, yeah. So I'm never going to run out of ideas for that. The Wednesday video is viewers' questions. I did mention a few weeks ago that I was thinking about, you know, kind of winding that up, and there seems to have been an influx of, you know, kind of questions since then, really. So keep them coming. But the Wednesday video is essentially viewer generated, and the Thursday video is always about, you know, whatever my new toy is that I've just bought, and there's always a new toy, isn't there? You know, and if it isn't a new toy, then it's like, well, let's have a look at something that I've had for a while, and, you know, kind of take a second look at it. So, you know, it's there's always material there to do videos with, you know. So it's just, you know, I don't know. I just never really feel like I am running out of ideas. It seems to always there's a perpetual well to draw from. Let's see what else people are asking me about. Ray James is saying, I bet you can do a Slade Christmas solo. Well, the only Slade song is that, you know, the obvious one. I don't think that has a solo in it, does it? Bad Day. Is that Bad Day though? When Bad Day though, ELO, when Roy Wood fell out with Jeff Lynne. I just think that band was, no band is ever going to be like, because it was the move, wasn't it? And then, you know, ELO. I just, you know, when you've got 2 people that are that good as like the main songwriter, it's pretty hard to contain that within one band, isn't it? Mississippi Blues is saying, do you have a preference for fretboard radius? I know what I don't like, and that is the old Fender 7.25, 7.25 inch radius. I always think that's, it just always feels a bit odd, and like you've got to, you struggle. Well, some people say you don't, but I always seem to. You struggle to kind of get a low action that where you can also kind of get bends going. Oh, thank you so much, Robster Boy. Let's put you up on screen. Please buy Jackie a nice Christmas drink. Happy holidays. Thank you so much. You are a gentleman and a scholar. And I'll see you tomorrow for your lesson, Robert. Thank you so much, mate. Let's have a look. I saw something up there. Time Profits got a new toy, Line 6 Pod Go. Well, I hope you're happy with it, mate. I've never got on with Line 6 Pod. I keep looking around on eBay to try and to grab a Line 6 Pod and do a video where it's like, is it as bad as I remember? So that's probably going to be a video that's coming up in the new year at some point. David Evans is saying, finally got my head around the modes through playing a keyboard, self-taught. Ironically, I thought after 40 years of playing by ear, it'd be a good idea to learn some theory. Well, any way in is a good way in, mate. If it unwraps it to you, because it's very much the way I learned myself. Those accidental little discoveries, things that you stumble across. Paul Trainer, you are a gentleman, sir. Thank you so much. Just those accidental little discoveries, things that you stumble across and you start joining the dots, and you don't tend to learn in a very organized or, kind of sequential way when you learn like that. But the stuff that you learn does tend to stay learned, which, when you've been taught something and it makes sense at the time and you can see how useful it is and yada, 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 and then it's not uncommon for it to be forgotten. I always remember when I was at college, I studied maritime electronics when I was at college, basically learning to go to sea to be a merchant navy radio officer. And I remember in one lecture just daydreaming, and we were talking about. I'll spare you the details, but it was some kind of minutiae of radar circuits, basically. And I asked the lecturer, I said, it's talking about this. It said, if you connected this up like this and did this and kind of put this voltage across here and did, this, that, and the other, I said, it would do that, wouldn't it? And he says, yes, indeed, Mr. Robson. That's why we covered it last term. And it's like one of those things that, okay, so I've learned about that, but that's often the best way, is what I'm saying, of learning stuff, is when you figure it out for yourself. The only problem is that you do tend to, kind of have gaps, unfortunately, but you can fill them in. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Balder is saying, worst day when the Move split up. The Kinks, the Move, the Smiths, Pulp, all quintessentially English. Yeah, that is something that, that's a video that I've got coming up. Well, I say I've got coming up. It's a vague idea for a video about, kind of quintessentially English bands, that couldn't have come from anywhere else. And it was just listening to some Kinks on Spotify the other day that made me think of that. And they aren't, I'm not saying that I dislike American music, because that's like the home of rock and roll and blues and everything, as and jazz. That's kind of right in my wheelhouse. But I just think it's a little bit of a shame that we don't tend to get any bands or artists these days that just stand out as being, having their own heritage behind them, perhaps, or their own kind of national identity. I think it's a sad day when everything becomes sort of homogenized, I guess is what I'm saying. I haven't really thought it through, as you can tell, but it's just I do like those bands that make you kind of nostalgic for probably a golden era that was never really that golden in the first place, But rose tinted spectacles and all that. Peter Nichols saying, "Are you thinking about the tax, man?" Well, I've got to do my tax return in January. Yeah, XTC. Now there was another band who were very much in that. You know. Oh, here we go, Balder. Yes, you're referencing a show I will be watching later on this evening. Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. Classic line from that. So, what else we've been talking about while I've been blethering away? Top 5 reasons why you love Scotty Moore as much as you love Gary Moore. Actually, I have a lot of time for Scotty Moore. You know, I mean, as I've mentioned many times, my route into music was via 50s rock and roll. 50s rock and roll led to blues. Blues led off in all kinds of other directions to jazz, which led to funk and fusion, and you know, blues led to jazz and classic rock and stuff. So you know, that initial kind of seed really was the whole 50s rock and roll thing. And Scotty Moore, I mean, I've only ever done one solo analysis of his. I did one of the solos from Hound Dog, but I should really do another one, shouldn't I? Let me write that down, because if I don't, it will be in one ear and out the other. So let's just write that down. Scotty Moore solo. Scotty Moore, yeah, fantastic guitar player. And I remember seeing like I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of thing that was on Sky Arts, where there was a bunch of, I think Mark Knopfler was involved, and there might have been one or two other kind of rock stars. They went to the Sun Studios in Memphis and met like Scotty Moore and a bunch of other Sun artists and jammed, and it was just a fantastic thing. And you know, he just came across as being like a really kind of nice bloke as well. As I often say, the kind of bloke you'd go for a beer with. Time Prophet is saying, have you ever done any ZZ Top solos? See, I'm learning. I said ZZ Top. I often pronounce it ZZ Top because it's just instinct. Yes, I have. I did Gimme All Your Loving ages ago. And there's another artist I need to revisit. I do kind of... I am conscious that sometimes my channel can be a little bit like solo analysis. Okay, Clapton... Gilmore, Knopfler, Gary Moore, rinse and repeat. It can kind of often get a little bit like that. But I've done. It's been a while since I've done any of those. I think. Well, actually, I did a Gilmore solo for the Patreon thing this month. Yep, I thought the Faces were a great British band. I'm there with you, mate. They always looked like they were having fun, and Rod Stewart went solo and disappeared up his own jacks. He kind of did a little bit, didn't he? But still did some great stuff. But I agree with you. Never quite equaled the Faces. And my favourite Faces song is one that you mention, and you've got to be a real Faces nerd to remember it, because nobody ever does. My favourite Faces song is Pool Hall Richard. I think that's just a belter of a track. Never on any album, apparently. It was only ever released as a single. And I remember having it on one of those K-Tel records, you know, because it's a big hit single. You remember the K-Tel records, you know, I can't remember what it was called, but like about 20 tracks on each side of a vinyl album. Absolutely no bass in it at all, but it didn't matter because you were playing it through a knackered old Dansette record player. But yeah, Pool Hall Richard, it's one that I listen to regularly on Spotify. And I see Ian Clark is saying, how about a Lagrange solo? Indeed, yes. Lagrange. Expect that one to be coming up at some point in the early new year, mate. Funny you should mention that, PFY Guitars. I am, again, I'm at the point where I'm just doing the drum programming for one. because it's a solo. Well, it's not really a solo actually. It's the end of an instrumental tune. So you probably think of a Michael Schenker instrumental tune that has a fantastic ending. Where there's a tempo change. So I'm going to do some nifty drum programming. That's going to become. Oh, speaking of solos, I didn't. I was too busy blethering away, and I can't be bothered going back through the chat. But I don't know if anybody guessed Monday's solo that's coming up. If you kind of announce that you think that Monday's solo, a classic yet accessible slide solo from 1974, if you thought, I wonder if that's Motherless Children by Eric Clapton, then give yourself a big pat on the back, because that is indeed the solo we are doing on Monday. Excuse me while I pour my last beer of the evening. I tell you what, lads and lasses, I don't know if there are any lasses there, chaps, a term I use as an inclusive, kind of catch-all term for everybody who's watching. I was feeling, as I said at the start of the stream, like death warmed up here. I was feeling pretty sorry for myself, I have to be said. Been living off Lemsips and these things. I don't know if you get these in your part of the world, but Jakeman's throat lozenges. But I don't know whether it's your company or the beer or a combination of both, but I'm feeling quite chipper now. Thank you, everyone. David Evans is saying, don't be woke, John. I don't think there's any danger of that. Jeffrey Page is saying, love Pool Hall, Richard. And Michael Purcell, how about a Mike Oldfield solo? I have done one Mike Oldfield solo. I did the solo from Moonlight Shadow ages ago. And as my Patreon brethren will know, that there's been a couple of solos, just two so far, where I've redone a solo that I've previously done on YouTube when I wasn't really that good. Not for me to say that I'm not any good now, but when I wasn't as good as I am now at making YouTube videos. And I've looked back at those videos and I thought, I could do so much better job on that. And the Moonlight Shadow solo is one of those videos where I'm thinking, I could do so much better video on that. That solo deserves better treatment than I gave it back then. So I am probably going to revisit that as a Patreon exclusive. And when that happens, the Moonlight Shadow solo will be that's already up, the old one, the knackered one, the one that I'm not particularly proud of. That video will be coming down, so it will only be up there for the Patreon views, because it doesn't seem fair having something that I'm putting up on Patreon where there's a version of it already out there on YouTube. Ian Clark saying, have you been enjoying the Benelin? No, I haven't actually, because we haven't got any in the house, because it's so infrequent that I get a sniffle that we don't tend to keep that sort of stuff in, because it gets up past its best but before date. Right. Cheeky. Time Prophet saying, have you thought about getting a green screen for your videos? You could pretend to be Rick Beato then. That's not a green screen behind Rick, though, is it? Because, it's. I thought it was at first, but, apparently those are all his amps. Well, I've just got my little Marshall here, and I'm very happy I am with it. I did think about doing the whole green screen thing a little while ago, but the computer I was on at the time just wouldn't handle it, basically, and it's something else to have to set up and tear down, because at the moment, like I've got the same setup here for doing videos now as I have for doing lessons, and it's like, what would it, what am I going to put on the background if I do a green screen? A load of guitars. Well, they're there already. Colm is very, very generously there, saying, we don't watch you because you're a brilliant YouTuber. You're a normal bloke who has a skill and is willing to share his knowledge. Well, thank you so much for that. you know, I will take that as the compliment that I'm thinking it was intended as. And Jay Aoyong is a very thank you so much, mate. Probably let me put you up on screen there because it's easier for me to read with these tired old eyes of mine. Probably be travelling during Christmas, so I'm offering this simple phrase to all you kids from 1 to 92. Merry Christmas to you. Well, thank you so much, mate, and thank you for the for that little drop of beer money there. Daniel Stenning is saying, what was your conclusion on that Sire Larry Carlton guitar? I have two. Which one do you mean? Do you mean the one behind me there, the S7, or do you mean the this one over here, the H7? It doesn't really matter which one you mean because they are both absolutely divine guitars. I've had more experience with Strat style guitars than I have with 335 style guitars. And so I can't really say from a position of much experience with 335 style guitars, but I have a lot of experience of Strat style guitars. So I'm going to stick my neck on the block and say that Sire S7 is the best Strat style guitar that I've ever owned. It feels like a custom shop instrument. It is absolutely divine. You know, I had a bit of a downer on Strats for a long time, and I didn't buy that guitar intending to keep it. It was just going to be kind of make a video, make 2 or 3 videos with it, and then move it on. But it really kind of got me thinking, oh yeah, this is. I know I will regret this if I sell it. So, you know, it's a fantastic guitar. And you know, it's going nowhere. I did think about selling it briefly because I don't really play Strats that often, but I've had cause to play it again recently. I thought, yeah, you're just going to kind of end up regretting it and wanting another one. Daniel Stenning once again, might have to try out. Where can you try and buy? To be honest with you, I mean, I bought it online. The thing is, you can try and buy online, you know, because most places have 30-day returns. All right, so you got to pay the postage to send it back. But then again, you know, you'd have to pay the petrol money to take it back, wouldn't you? It's in the UK. I think it's only Andertons that have them, and I don't think I've seen anywhere else. Or maybe Bach's Music. Are they in the UK? No, they're Netherlands, aren't they? So I think I got the H7 from Andertons, and I got that one there from Toman. I think I can't remember. This background is better than the old confessional box look. Yes, indeed. Thank you. That was just seemed like something that seemed like a good idea. You know. Oh, Dave Stevens is saying, don't green screen. You're a bloke in a spare room who plays guitar. That's what resonates with most of us, I guess. Well, thank you. You know, I mean, I've never pretended to be anything else. You know, I mean, some people have been very, very kind and said, you know, because I did a video, oh gosh, a couple of years ago now, where it was like my kind of story of how I came to be where I am at the moment, and it's all pretty humble, it has to be said. And some people saying, "Oh my God, I thought you were like some big touring kind of session guy." No, I would have loved to have been, but it just, you know, it never worked out that way. I'm just some kind of fat pleb from the northeast of England who, you know, kind of put an ad in the Yellow Pages to do guitar lessons, and then sort of started a YouTube channel at one point, and here I am. So, you know, never pretended to be anything different, and, you know, I've got a lovely life. I'm kind of living in a lovely part of the world, I think, and I make a living doing something I enjoy immensely, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. So I wouldn't trade places with anybody, if I'm honest. Gordo Canuck, we are watching and waiting for John to break out in song and really sing, because I doubt he is as bad as he claims. There are plenty of people who've heard me sing. As I said, every band practice, Never a mic set up for me after they heard me sing once. So yeah, it's just not something I have any. I just never wanted to be a singer. It's just maybe if I'd wanted it, I would have worked at it and kind of learned to do it and what have you. But it's just never something that was ever. And then you get, some people who can just do it, who've never had to work at it. No, I always admired. I mean, like Jeff Beck was always a big kind of favourite of mine, and you don't hear him sing very often. And growing up in the 70s, bands often had a lead guitarist who was just the guy who you never had a mic on him. And Jimmy Page, there's an example. So it was just always like a thing for me that, you didn't have to be able to sing. You could do it through the guitar. And that's always the way I've looked at it. It's I suppose I'm the guitar equivalent of, what's the little one called? I always get him the wrong way around. The little one out of Penn and Teller. You never hear him. Let's have a look. Cushman, New York City, you're saying, love the stream, learned so much from you, thanks. Well, thank you. I mean, it is a two-way street. I mean, I never, ever thought that I would be sitting here talking to 168 people on a Friday evening. And I'm not going to name any names because I'm too discreet for that. But you do see the odd YouTube channel with many more subscribers than me that are doing a live stream, and it'll say like 60 people watching, or 50 people watching, or 70 people watching, or something. I'm thinking, well, I'm punching above my weight a little bit, aren't I, with my live streams? And it's all down to you chaps who come along and, as I say, seem to enjoy my Friday evening ramblings. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy having a beer with people who I've genuinely, like, over the past couple of years or so since I've been doing this, genuinely come to think of as friends, even though I've never met many of you. I mean, we met a few when we had the party conference a couple of years ago. We possibly will do that again at some point. But I'm still giving that one a court of thinking. Colm Cross is saying, if I was a big time producer and needed some guitar tracks laid down, John and Dave Simpson would be in my file of facts. Well, what a very kind thing to say, mate. Yeah, Dave is pretty good, isn't he? Let's have a look at a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Sophie Milton, do you think that not singing forces a person to be more expressive in their playing because that is their only outlet? Do you know what, Sophie? I have never thought of it in those terms, but there's probably some truth in that. I would say provisionally, yes. I've never thought of it. I've never really kind of given it any thought because I don't know anything other than what I do myself. But, yeah, possibly, yeah. We love it, John. Don't stop. It's a public service and we greatly appreciate it. Indeed. Let's have a look, see what else we've got, and then I've got to go and order a curry in a second. Cylon Hybrid is saying, give Dougal a treat and be nice to her indoors. Have a pleasant evening. Kebab coming. Enjoy it. Well, thank you, mate. Yeah, we're on the curry in the Robson household this evening. I thought it would be good for me, for my poor cold. And on that note, we're 58 minutes and 50-odd seconds in and counting. And I've got to go and, well, basically, not to put too fine a point on it, what goes in has got to come out. So before I make a mess of the carpet, I'm going to love you and leave you and say thank you once again for everyone for turning up. It's been a blast, as it always is. I'm a fat northern pleb, and I just sit here and talk absolute nonsense for an hour, but you seem to like it, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.